January 23rd, New London Housing Authority meeting at Gordon Court. If Lee would do roll call.
Happy to, Madam Chair. Commissioner Gibson,
Present.
Commissioner Heap,
Here.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Here.
Commissioner Parker,
Here.
Commissioner Suarez.
Here.
And we have a full board this evening. I would like to recognize our new board member, Antonio Suarez, that we call Tony.
Tony.
Yes, right, yeah, I was going to say Tony. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll find it exciting.
Is that Tony Suarez from the Jew again town?
Same guy.
Oh, hi, Tony.
Surprise. And I'd also like to have, added to that, we have our attorney with us tonight, John Casey. We have Lee Erdman, our interim director, Steve Fields from the mayor's office, Marty Olson, city councilor, and we have some of our people from the housing authority, Kara, Jennifer, and Patty, and Karen Paul from the senior citizens.
And mine.
Oh, my, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, I'm used to you coming in a few minutes late. Sorry about that.
Excuse me.
Yes,
We also have my aide from hell in the back.
okay, okay, there we go.
I just
Nice
thought
to
I'd
meet you,
recognize her.
as far as. Okay, moving forward, citizens' comments. Does anybody have something that they would like to say this evening?
Yes,
I think Jim, you had
yes, and I do
Oh,
believe Jim is in
do we
front of
have
me.
a sign-in sheet? I'm sorry. Okay, Jim, if I were, there you go, you're on.
You want to know that the people are very unhappy about going private. They want to stay with their own housing. There's been a big improvement over the last few months. And we have very good workers that want to stay that way. And to move the meeting to 3:00, no. We want to at least right what's that possible, not 3:00. So then, again, want to stay with housing and not privatizing.
Thank you.
Privatizing could cost us money in the long run. Increase rent. They're not gonna, if they improve, they're not going to, take the cost, they're gonna pass it on to us.
Is that it? Thank you very much. I'd like to recognize that Councilor Zada is here. Maltese,
Right there, Mai.
right, Mike.
Hi, my name's Mai, and I work for the New London Housing Authority. I would like to discuss our staffing issue with the NLHA right now, both on the admin staff and the maintenance staff side of things. When I started working here, we had a full staff of 8 to 9 admin, 7 to 8 maintenance workers, all who were skilled at the time, and 5 to 6 cleaners. Today, that's not that I'm counting those people who are on leave, light duty, or just part-time. We have 3 maintenance guys, 2 of them who are skilled, 4 cleaners, 3 full-time at Thames River, and 1 doing rehabs, and 6 in admin. At least 75% of our staff is not trained to do the jobs we are assigned. The admin staff has to wear multiple hats. I myself wear 3, none which I have been formally trained and haven't had a job description in over a year. I had to fight for 6 months through 3 temporary EDs before I got any compensation for the work I was performing and never got back pay for when my duties began. Our maintenance and cleaning staff is being run into the ground due to exhaustion and lack of training, which can be seen from injuries and call-outs. I can't speak much for admin as I no longer spend time in the main office, but will for maintenance as this is where the majority of my time is spent. We receive calls daily ranging from emergencies to routine work orders. Yesterday alone, we had received 7 emergencies. All emergencies are done by end of day. Any leftover are given to those who are on call for the week. Some emergencies, like one that we had today, tied up our 2 skilled workers for about 70% of our day. Our other full-time duty worker was in a rehab that needs to be completed as soon as possible to be put back online. Keep in mind that is not the only rehab we have. Routine and urgent routine work orders have been neglected due to lack of staffing. We as a staff cannot be expected to give 100% when we do not have 100% to work with. I understand things will be changing soon, something we have been hearing for over a year now. To wait, things will get better, and no one will lose jobs. But waiting is no longer an option, and it hasn't been for some time. All eyes are on Thames River, a place that will soon be gone, where residents are not held accountable for their actions, and staff is blamed for their downfall. Our other properties are falling into disrepair. 202, Gordon Court, Riozzi Court, and Williams Park have been neglected for far too long. The residents in these properties require our attention. With the majority being elderly, disabled, or both, they cannot do repairs themselves or have anyone who could help with these simple tasks. We are supposed to be there for them. We are their family. For anyone who can help with a simple, we are their family for the most part. Daily, I take calls where I need to apologize to our residents because no one has been out for simple repairs. I recently received an email from Lee and where a fellow employee stated, these are small repairs and should have not waited this long. In reference to a resident who called to complain about repairs that have been waiting for a long time. Although I agree, we do not have the adequate staff to keep up with the workload. This is not the only email of its kind, and where we are instructed to stop assigned work to appease those who call the mayor's office, the board of commissioners, or the office to complain of the wait times. We cannot do for one without doing for all. It is not fair to the residents who have been waiting patiently for repairs, some waiting up to 6 months or longer. We have been having a lot of work contracted out, which is costing this agency. I feel we should advertise for temp workers with possibility of full-time positions if available after Thames River is gone. I have watched this agency dwindle down from what it once was, and I am disheartened every day I come to work. A job I once loved and respected, I now dread. I am not the only NLHA staff member to feel this way. On a personal note, I have had to start taking anti-anxiety and antidepressants to make it through my day. My home life is suffering, and our residents are suffering from this mess. A mess that started when Sue was pushed out. I feel as our commissioners, you are failing us to do not feel you have the best interests of our residents and staff in mind with the decisions you have made and continue to make. My question to you is, can we please get more staffing and training, both in admin and maintenance, so we can do our jobs 100% for the sake of our resident staff, for those who will be here when Thames River is gone. As an agency, we are drowning, and I'm calling for help. Will you help us to make this agency a place our residents can once again love and respect? It hurts my heart to see what we've become.
And I just want to go on the record that I back up everything that she said.
Okay, do you want to state your name?
Jennifer Carrion, Operations Manager, New London Housing Authority.
Okay, I just wanted it for the
Yep,
record so
that's
it
fine.
could go in the minutes as far as. I'll introduce our liaison in the council in a moment, but is there anybody else that would like to speak at this time? Hearing none, at this time I'd like to introduce our council liaison, our president of the city council, Anthony Nolan. Would you like to wait till your place on the agenda to say something, or, okay, there we go. Approval of December 12th minutes, regular monthly meeting minutes.
What happened to Commissioner's report response to citizen comments?
Oh, okay, I thought, yeah, okay, Commissioners report, responses to citizens' comments.
Well, I'm gonna hold my Commissioner's report, but I certainly would like to respond to the comments, starting with, Jim's, because I'm very concerned. He talked about, not privatizing. I don't know that I wanna respond to that at this point, but I do want to, respond to his concerns about moving the meetings to City Hall, which I'm completely opposed to. And I know that comes later in the agenda, and I know that John said we can move the meetings to City Hall. That's not the question, whether we can move meetings to City Hall. The question is, why would we do that? The after Thames River apartments are closed, the only residents that we have left our seniors and or disabled people. Why would we do that? There's absolutely, you have said, Betsy, that because, it's an issue of transparency and the public should know what we can do, what we're doing, and it's a simple matter if that's the reason to film the meetings and show them, air them on Channel 24 on Atlantic Broadband. We can do that very easily. But to expect seniors and or disabled people to seek out transportation and to go out at night in rain, sleet, snow, heat, and go up 3 flights to city council chambers is absolutely unacceptable. I called about 10 other housing authorities in Connecticut, and not one of them meets anywhere other than the community rooms of the developments that they manage, or in some cases, when there are no community rooms, they meet in the office of the housing authority itself. There is absolutely no acceptable reason to move the meetings to City Hall. And in fact, in the minutes that we're going to accept tonight, you yourself, meaning Betsy Gibson, the chairperson, in the minutes it says, Chairperson Gibson stated that the beauty of rotating the meetings through the properties is the things that they became aware of as the camera situation at George Washington Carver. I mean, can't get a better recommendation than that from the chairperson. The other thing I want to respond to is May. It was, you talked about the difficulties of working, and I understand that completely. And it was at this meeting, this very meeting, in September of 2017, that Chairperson Gibson said, and it's in the minutes, it's on the video. Hi, Catherine. It's on the video that the whole issue of Imagineers in this case was all gossip and rumor, and that no staff would be losing their jobs. And yet Imagineers contract, which is amazingly not on this agenda, has already advertised for positions, and one of those positions happens to be the job of Jennifer Carrion, if I'm not mistaken, operations manager. Now, it's bad enough that a company that we only, according to Lee, only have, they're supposed to be doing assessment. It's bad enough that they are already hiring and advertising for people, but it particularly bothers me that they are putting people, residents of New London, out of work. And since New London is such bad financial straits, I might remind people that Jennifer, if I'm not mistaken, is a homeowner in New London and pays taxes here. And the rest of the people who will be losing jobs are also residents of New London and spend their money here. And that bothers me no end. And as far as temporary workers, advertise for them, for what? I'm a commissioner and I have no idea what's going on here. Somebody needs to know. Is the Board of Commissioners failing the residents? The Board of Commissioners failing the workers? Indeed we are. And somebody needs to look for the answers as to why. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other commissioners that want to make a comment? Okay, hearing none, moving on to approval of December 12th minutes. Is there a motion to approve such minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, so carried. Okay. Council liaison, introduction of a council liaison, council
Does
president.
anybody have a key to that door is locked?
Those are your comments?
Well, I just wanna make sure, he just,
Right,
He just had a problem getting in there.
Or Jim
This
has
is a
the
public
key.
meeting, right?
Yeah,
The door should be unlocked.
it
That's
should
what I
be.
just said.
We can-
Let's
was
make it
unlocked.
happen.
Yeah,
Oh, that's Jay Will, so it's okay what he said.
It's not difficult to unlock the door. Okay, it was a mistake. We didn't unlock now.
How you doing, Jay?
Just want to say hello, and just make sure that everybody understands that, I am the council liaison for the housing authority now. I just want to, I heard your letter on my entrance. I'm sorry that you feel that way, and I'm sorry that things are going as you say they are. I want to recommend that, you send emails, so there's documentation of all the things that are going on. Please CC me in the email once you send it to the housing authority so that I can know what's going on. I would try and get around to each of the housing areas and talk to management, and administration, and also talk to, the residents a little bit, in regards to, problems or issues that they may they may be having. And I will try and touch bases with all the, committee members, to try and get, some knowledge of how things are going and updates on things. Since I took over in December, I could see that there's a lot of things, a lot going on, so I just want to make sure that everybody understands that I am available, and that, you can reach out to me if, you're reaching out to the board is not working, and hopefully, we can, gradually, improve things as they should be. And that's about it. Any
Thank you.
questions?
I didn't get to know.
Anthony Nolan?
Thank you.
He's the president of the council, the New London City Council, we have a councilor next to you. Okay, attorney report?
I really don't have anything to report, there's
Okay, if you're on the agenda, I didn't want to skip you
no.
as far as, my report,
I have a question for the attorney,
Okay, perfect.
which would be you, John. Yes. What is the problem? Betsy sent an email saying a couple of weeks ago that the contract and proposal from Imagineers was ready, and now I understand it's not. Is that correct?
Because that's a draft contract, it's probably something we should discuss in executive session.
Okay. All right, my other question is, you may be aware that there was a summary of claims made recently in misconduct charges against me. And my question is, so we agree on that?
Yes.
Okay. In removing me as a commissioner. My question to you is, did you or anyone in your office write that summary of complaints?
I wrote that,
You did?
yes.
John, if you don't mind my saying so, you misspelled whale tails too. I just wanted to make you aware of that. Thank you.
Okay, chairperson report, I would like to say I was told that the television is now working at, 202 Coleman for the community room. And people's televisions have been turned on, so that's, so they can see what's going on. I believe, Lee will talk about the things, what's happening with Thames River and what's happening with Attorney Ruby in his report. So I will follow up to the executive director's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a brief report. All of the items indicated on the agenda are found under tab 2 in your agenda packet. First item is the unaudited December 2017 financials. These are provided by our fee accountant, and the report indicates that we have an operating surplus from 2017 of $184,770. That figure is subject to year-end adjustments and to the audit. But we did end the year in the black.
What's black, over or under? I'm serious.
It's over budget in revenues, under budget in expenditure, so it's a good thing.
No, black is over?
Oh, black, yeah, black is good, red is bad. Okay, the second report, is the open payables report. So we're showing open payables of a little more than $195,000. This is a monthly report that we give commissioners. Third item is the payment summary report, showing payments over the past month or so of $281,000. And we give this report to commissioners every month. The next item is audit engagement information provided by our external auditor, Maletta and Company. And I would just note that this is the 4th year of a 5-year contract with Maletta. So they've done the audits for us for the past 3 years, and they'll do the 2017 audit, also the 2018 audit. And then I would note the schedule on the second page. They'll begin their audit process on April 30th, and they hope to finish the audit with an audit report by June 30th, 2018. James River relocation status. To date, 110 of the 117 vouchers have been issued. 110 of the 117, and we're working diligently to provide the remaining 7 residents with their vouchers. They still have to complete their paperwork or sign the vouchers. We hope that that is all completed shortly. Glendower, which is the relocation firm that we hired, is targeting the end of February to issue the 90-day notices to vacate, so that'll be 60 days after the first set of vouchers were issued on the 28th of December. Moving expenses. A number of residents have lined up their moving dates for signing their leases and moving out, and so far every resident is choosing to move themselves. Instead of using the moving company that Glendower put a bid out for, they're moving themselves, and there's a standard schedule of rates so that the resident will get a payment off that standard schedule and then move themselves or hire their own mover. Application fees. All the residents who are seeking private sector housing do have to pay application fees. They've been ranging from $25 to $40, and the tenants have been able to handle those application fees just fine so far. That does conclude my report. I would request that the board consider an executive session at the end of this meeting to discuss contracts. And there's a couple of specific situations that have come up related to residents moving that I'd like to review with the board and get the board's guidance on how to handle those issues. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
One quick question, if I could.
Yes.
You mentioned those that are moving themselves.
Yes.
They're getting paid back by who?
They're being paid by the housing authority.
Okay.
We're paying
You're paying
essentially a stipend
Got it.
for moving expenses, and they're
So they're getting reimbursed for their
yes,
whatever that fee was.
yeah, and essentially they're deciding whether to move themselves or to hire their own moving company to move them. And that's one of the options they have.
Well,
Chairman? 2 things on that, Lee. You said it was kind of a there's a schedule of what the rates are? Is it based on the number of bedrooms or people or?
Yeah, I think it's based on the number of bedrooms and, I think there's, from the schedule I, saw, it's like, a certain, it's a rate by state, so Connecticut has its own set of rates, and I
Sure.
think the amount varies by the number of bedrooms that you have.
Okay, because, I think in one of the last, or an earlier email,
Yes.
you'd say that Glendower was finalizing a contract with the mover. Have they?
They have finalized that, but we haven't gotten the results.
Okay.
But I was told that they were going to award the contract, last Thursday. And I suspect they're, reviewing that option with all the residents, but they haven't provided me with that information, so I don't know which moving company they hired
Okay.
or what the rates are, but as soon as I have that information, I'll share it with the commissioners. But I found it curious that the residents so far who are planning to move, have decided not to use that moving company. So perhaps the residents are making out a little bit better by taking that standard stipend.
Sure. That's probably, if we've got somebody who, yeah.
Yeah.
The other one on the Glendower piece is,
Yes.
I know that in our contract with Glendower, we're supposed to pay them a 10% premium on any services that they contract.
Yes.
Are we paying a 10% premium on folks who do it privately? I mean, they're not contracting that service, so I would
That's a
imagine
good
we don't have to
question.
pay that additional.
I don't think so, but I'm not positive of that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll check on that, but I don't think so, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Good question.
I have a good question.
Okay, go. Every question's a good question.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Sorry. So, we have how many families do we actually have to move?
117 families.
Does that include Platy?
Yes, it does.
All right, okay, so, that sounds pretty impressive. Of 117 families, 110 have already been issued vouchers?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me how many families have actually moved?
Yes, to date we have, one family that has moved. And we have, Kara will double check my. Kara will double check my information. She's our property manager, down at Thames River. We have one family scheduled to move this Friday. Another family scheduled to move next Tuesday. And then I think a fourth family scheduled to move next Wednesday. So let's call it within the next week or so, 4 or 5 families. And as Kara reported to me today, we have another probably dozen or so families that are in the works.
They've
to get.
either been inspected
Yeah.
and waiting for lease signing, or they're waiting for their inspection.
Well, I'm only interested in the ones of the 117 who have actually moved.
Right. It's,
Because I understand on Whale Tales 2, I get a lot of, I saw that, John. I get a lot of inboxes and inbox messages, and people are telling me that they're having a very difficult time finding housing, not only in New London, where it seems the majority of people want to stay because they work here and have children in school here, but one woman said in New London, Groton, Montville, and Waterford, it's very difficult, and I'm wondering a number of things.
It's difficult, but not impossible. So far, Glendower has provided to all of the residents I guess you'd call it an Excel spreadsheet with a list of in excess of 100 apartments that are available. And as you probably know, these tenant protection vouchers that the residents receive, they are good anywhere.
Right, I
The
understand that.
resident can move anywhere in the United States with those vouchers. So we are hopeful, and Glendower is working hard to provide for 3 options for every tenant in the town that they choose to live in, whether it's to stay in New London or move to Groton or Norwich or whatever. So whether or not they'll be able to find affordable housing so that all the residents of Thames River can live in the town they want to live is yet to be seen, but they're doing their best to try to make that happen.
Sure, I understand all of that. It's not Glendower's fault, it's not the residents' fault. I mean, if New London just doesn't have the housing, I mean, that's nobody's fault. Well, anyway, the other thing is, what happens if is it inconceivable? Is that the word I'm looking? What happens if it happens May 1st, I know you can get an extension, right? We have until May 1st.
I think you're referring to the 90-day notices to vacate.
I'm talking the time that they allow us from the acceptance, the approval of the.
Oh, they being HUD.
HUD, yeah. From the
Approval of
approval of that,
disposition agreement.
right.
Yes, that.
What happens?
That date is adjustable, and we need to submit a report to HUD indicating whether or not we're sticking with that date or we're going to move to another date. And we are going to move to another date because we don't expect all the residents will be relocated by May 1st at this point.
Okay, all right.
So that is flexible,
Well, that's good to know.
yes.
All right. My next question is, do we have, because I've signed as the treasurer, since no one else would take it, I have, not that I want to bring up any names, but I've already signed checks,
Yes.
security deposit and moving expenses.
Yes.
There's a concern about if we have enough money to cover it. If we currently have enough money to cover the moving expenses and the security deposits, do we currently have enough money?
We have enough money in the budget, yes. The budget that the Board of Commissioners adopted in December for 2018 projects all of the expenses associated with the relocation. As the Commission will recall, we spent something like $38,000 in 2017, and we project we'll spend another $550 or $60,000 in 2018.
How much?
Maybe $5,050 or $60,000 in 2018. So we have budgeted that. The concern we have is whether or not we'll receive sufficient revenues in a timely manner so that cash flow wise, we have enough revenues coming in to match the expenditures going out. So it's conceivable sometime later this year,